Ken Paxton's story is not about one scandal. It is about a pattern that began long before he became Texas Attorney General and continued after every warning sign. That pattern starts in 2011. While serving as a Texas state representative, Ken Paxton solicited investments in a technology company called Servergy. He persuaded fellow lawmakers and private investors to contribute more than $100,000 each. He did not disclose that he had not invested his own money. He did not disclose that he was being compensated with company stock. That conduct led to 3 felony indictments in 2015 for securities fraud and failure to register as an investment advisor. Ken Paxton was booked, released on bond, and photographed in a mugshot 7 months into his tenure as the state's top law enforcement officer. But the indictments did not stop his behavior. They simply became the backdrop. As those charges hung over him, another pattern quietly took shape. From 2015 to 2022, Ken Paxton secured mortgages on multiple properties in Austin, College Station, and Broken Bow, Oklahoma, repeatedly certifying the homes were not rentals, then listing them as rentals anyway. In Austin alone, he never occupied a property he claimed as a residence, submitted conflicting mortgage filings on another, and admitted to collecting rental income in violation of loan terms. In Oklahoma, a $1.28 million second home now operates as a luxury short-term rental. These are not allegations, they are public records. Falsely claiming residency or permitted use on mortgage documents is a federal offense. And while that conduct accumulated on paper, the criminal case never moved forward. Instead of facing trial, Paxton delayed the case for nearly 9 years through procedural maneuvering. The case changed venues, judges recused themselves, and the trial never reached a jury. In 2024, Paxton agreed to community service, ethics courses, and restitution payments in exchange for dismissal of the charges. There was no acquittal. While that case lingered, another pattern emerged. In 2018, Paxton began an extramarital affair. The affair disrupted the Attorney General's office, affected staff operations, and required direct intervention by senior aides. In September 2018, Paxton convened a meeting with top staff and campaign aides. His wife, State Senator Angela Paxton, stood beside him as he tearfully confessed to the affair and asked for forgiveness. Staff believed the affair had ended. It had not. By late 2019, Paxton admitted to his chief of staff that the relationship had resumed and stated that he still loved the woman. He demanded that staff accommodate his conduct, including changes involving security and travel. In 2020, the woman was hired by Austin real estate developer Nate Paul, a major Paxton donor, whose businesses were under investigation. Paxton personally recommended her for the job. Her relocation made it easier for Paxton to see her. At the same time, Paxton repeatedly intervened as Attorney General on Nate Paul's behalf. He pressured staff to release confidential law enforcement records. He ordered a legal opinion that halted foreclosure sales on Paul's properties in the middle of the night. He intervened in private litigation to pressure settlements favorable to Paul. He authorized a special prosecutor to investigate Paul's perceived enemies, including law enforcement officials. Witnesses testified that Paxton's conduct was unprecedented, improper, and driven by personal interests. In September 2020, 8 of Paxton's most senior deputies reported him to the FBI for bribery and abuse of office. They were all conservatives. They were all hired by Paxton himself. They testified that the Attorney General's office had been hijacked to serve one individual. Paxton retaliated. Within weeks, every whistleblower was fired or forced out. Rather than defend his actions in court, Paxton negotiated a settlement and demanded Texas taxpayers pay it. That demand triggered an investigation by the Texas House. In 2023, the House impeached Ken Paxton by a vote of 121 to 23. More than 2/3 of House Republicans voted to impeach. The articles included bribery, abuse of office, misuse of public funds, and benefiting from the employment of his mistress. Paxton was later acquitted in the Senate, but the facts did not disappear. In 2025, a judge ruled that Paxton's office violated the Texas Whistleblower Act and ordered more than $6 million in damages paid to the fired aides. Then, even after impeachment, the pattern continued. In May 2024, Ken Paxton began an affair with Christian influencer Tracy Duhan. From the Kentucky Derby to secret trips across the country, the relationship raised new questions about whether public resources were used to sustain a private double life. By July 2025, Angela Paxton announced a separation after nearly 40 years of marriage, citing biblical grounds. The disclosure shattered Paxton's public image as a champion of family values. By 2025, Tracy Duhan's divorce was finalized, and the affair became impossible to contain. What Paxton concealed behind closed doors became a central issue in his Senate campaign. Public proof of hypocrisy and betrayal. After 38 years of marriage, Angela Paxton sought a disproportionate share of marital assets based on fault and earning power. Ken Paxton's response was filed in court. He denied wrongdoing. He asked that his wife take nothing. This is the record: felony indictments, years of delay, an affair that compromised judgment, an attorney general's office used for personal benefit, whistleblowers fired, taxpayers forced to pay, and a final legal position that speaks for itself. This is how Ken Paxton became Crooked Ken Paxton.